Okay, good morning, and it's chapter 6 in King Benjamin. If you hear birds, it is actual birds, it's not a backing track or anything like that. It's a nice morning, and the birds are singing out there. So, anyway, so we're finishing King Benjamin's address, or he's finished it, and I think this shows a good teaching technique. King Benjamin thought it was expedient that after having finished speaking to the people, he should take the names of all those who entered into a covenant with God to keep the commandments. He's following up, basically. I guess it's a good missionary tool, I should say. And it came to pass that there was not one soul except there were little children, but who entered into the covenant and had taken upon them the name of Christ. I kind of think it's a foreshadow saying except it were little children, because we'll see that later in later chapters. And again, it came to pass that when King Benjamin had made an end of all these sayings, he consecrated his son Mosiah to be the ruler and a king over his people, and given him all the charges concerning the kingdom, and also appointed priests to teach the people, that thereby they might hear and know the commandments of God, and stir them up in remembrance of the oath which they had made. Now, I find that interesting that he appointed these priests and teachers. This is all in that conference as well. As you see, he says he dismissed the multitude after he'd done this. And I think it's really interesting that if you think back on some of the other scriptures we've read, it says, and there's priests and prophets that testified to the people and had to testify boldly because of their iniquity and all this. This is a little bit different. He's not saying, and it's only by really bringing it home that they stay faithful, really telling them the awfulness of their sins and things. This is saying we're stirring them up in remembrance of the oath they'd made, remembrance of the joy and the wonderful things that they've experienced here, that they might be able to continue doing these things. I kind of feel that sometimes with the general conference talks. You listen to general conference on the day, and it's just really good spiritual experience. But sometimes it takes the weekly going to church and listening to people talk about these talks, and maybe for me, being able to write about them on my blog posts, have made a big difference in remembering the oath that we make. And then they return to their houses. Mosiah begins his reign, and it says that he's in his 30th year. I think it's kind of interesting that these are included by Mormon to give you an idea where we are. And it's 476 years from the time Lehi left Jerusalem. So about, what is that? Sorry, I'm just going to look up. About 124 years before Christ. So you think 124 years ago is not that long ago, and 124 years in the future does sound a little bit long, but you can imagine that there's a lot to happen in those times, and we're going to find out more, because it's going to take us right down almost year by year from this point to when Christ comes. And King Benjamin lived 3 years and he died. So Mosiah is now 33. And it came to pass that Mosiah did walk in the ways of the Lord, and did observe his judgments and his statutes, and did keep the commandments in all things whatsoever he commanded him. So he's a really righteous king. But see what happens here. King Mosiah did cause his people should till the earth, and he also himself did till the earth, that thereby he might not become a burden unto his people, that he might do according to that which his father had done in all things. And there was no contention among all his people for the space of 3 years. I think that last thing, I think back, what's the last 3 years done here? That would be 2021. It's May 2021. We're coming out of the COVID lockdowns for most of us. Some of us were still going to be in lockdown later in 2021. But you think about since then, has there been any contentions in the world? Has there been any contentions in your own personal life? I can think we've had the Ukraine-Russian conflict, we've had Syria, we've had some other, the Palestinian conflict, we've had several other things, and in this country, the UK, we've seen prime minister change because of accusations of misconduct, and we've had just a lot of things going on, and a lot of conflict and contention in the 3 years. Could you imagine if there's no contention in 3 years, what it'd feel like and what it'd be like? That'd be amazing. But that's the type of king he was, and the type of oath that these people made. And I think that is why the gospel means so much. We'll find that come back several times. When the people are righteous, it's not the fact that they're blessed with wonderful wealth and everything and they're just perfect and everybody's always happy. It's the fact that they don't have a lot of the negative things in their society. And I think the prophets have been telling us this for years, that the one most single thing that would cure all the ails of the earth is the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I believe that. I believe that if you don't see that in your life or something, I'm not saying that then it's not because of the gospel of Jesus Christ that you're not seeing that, because I'm not saying that you're not living it. It may be people around you that it's not living it. And if you start to look there, you will see that if you're living the gospel, then things are better because of it. Even if your circumstances, and I mean, we're going to find out about Abinadi, we'll find out his circumstances isn't any better, but the world is because of him. And so I'm going to leave it there, and I hope that was more positive than it sounded, I guess. Let's think of ways that we can have no more contention among us for the next 3 years. And with this, I hope you have a nice day.